Alright, another Reddit discussion video. I made one of these yesterday, and I don't know how well it's performing. I haven't really checked, but I actually had fun doing it, of just, getting my raw thoughts and opinions out, and I figured I'd do it again. So I was just looking on here again and found this post that says in the Final Fantasy Reddit, what Final Fantasy are you playing, and what do you love or hate about it? So, I guess I should probably start off first by saying not every one of these videos is going to be about Final Fantasy. This Final Fantasy, these games are just the number one thing on my mind right now. Because 2023 is like a really cool year to be a Final Fantasy fan, because Final Fantasy 14 is as strong as it's ever been. The pixel remasters on console for PS4 and Switch are out, and people are playing those and they love them. We have a new mainline game, Final Fantasy 16, coming out in like 2 months. We have part 2 of 7 Remake called 7 Rebirth coming out later this year. So 2023 is honestly just a pretty stacked year when it comes to Final Fantasy content in general. So that's kind of why these games are occupying most of my time and thought right now, because 2023 is a really big year for Final Fantasy fans. So the question here that this guy's asking is, what Final Fantasy are you playing, and what do you love or hate about it? Now, I'm not just going to come out and say Final Fantasy 14, because I'm always playing that. Specifically, the game I'm actually playing right now is Final Fantasy 4. I just beat Final Fantasy 3 a couple days ago, and I loved it, and now I'm moving on to 4. And I have some immediate thoughts about 4 right from the start. Number 1, Final Fantasy 4 has actual characters in it, as in the characters that you play as are actually people. They're not just nameless avatars that have a role or a job. I understand in the 3DS games, the 3D remake of Final Fantasy 3, the main characters actually did get names and proper designs and whatnot, but in the pixel remasters, the characters don't have names. They don't have any real character traits or personality to them. They are just nameless warriors that serve you to play the game. The name of your character is whatever name you give them, or it's whatever job they are. Final Fantasy 4, the characters actually have names, and they are legit characters. You have the main character, Cecil, or Cecil, however you say it. You have his best friend, Kain. The main antagonist, Golbez. You have Cecil's love interest, Rosa. You have a summoner named Rydia. You have a monk named Yang. The little twins, the mage twins, Palom and Porum. And then the crazy old man, Sage Tella. And that's as far as I've gotten. I haven't played too far yet. My progress in the game is I have just become a paladin. So I traveled up Mount Ordeals and fought the boss at the end of there. And I just became a paladin, and so now I have to go back to the Baron City and maybe, I don't know exactly what I'm doing right now because I'm trying to stay spoiler free. So I have to go back to Baron City, possibly to fight Golbez, and so I can save Rosa, because she was just kidnapped, and possibly recruit Kain to join my side, because Kain is now my enemy. He started as my friend, but now he's my enemy. And that's the big thing. The big difference between Final Fantasy 4 and 3 is 4 actually has a strong story. 3 does have a story, but it's very, very basic. It's very bare. The rough gist of what happens in Final Fantasy 3 is travel all across the worlds, purify the 4 elemental crystals, stop Xandi from overtaking the world in darkness. That's it. That's all you get. That is the extent of the story. It doesn't get much deeper than that. 4 element crystals, big bad guy Xandi, defeat the cloud of darkness, the end. Stop the world from being covered in darkness. That's it. There you go. Not much to it. Final Fantasy IV, however, actually has a legit story going on with complex characters, and you can really feel the emotion that the game is trying to get you with. You can tell Final Fantasy IV and onward is when the series turned into a very narrative-driven game. The story starts out you playing as the Dark Knight Cecil, who is very depressed and uncomfortable because his morals are getting in the way of doing his job, because he is serving a king who is not a very nice man. He's a very evil person, and the king is abusing his power as a king to ransack, destroy, and loot neighboring cities in an attempt to collect the crystals. That's the one trend. Every Final Fantasy game has crystals in it. And so you are essentially going from city to city and stealing the crystals for the king. And Cecil, whatever you want to call him, he is not happy with that because he understands that, he probably shouldn't be doing this. This is not a nice man. And I'm essentially killing innocent people because he told me to. And that's not okay. So Cecil is becoming disillusioned to that and starts to realize that, this isn't what I want to do with my life anymore. I want to do something different. I want to, make a change. And then that's when Cecil starts to have, not second thoughts, but big thoughts about working with the king, and decides to rebel against him. And thus you have to travel away to really kind of discover and find yourself on what you really want. And so that's just of what's happening right now. I don't know the extent of it because I haven't played that far, but that's basically what's happening. And I really do enjoy the way that the games are becoming more character focused and story focused, because of the original 6 games, the only game I've actually played is 3, and I'm currently working on 4. I have, however, played Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise, which is a more darker modern day, well, it's not really modern day, but it's a more darker modern version of Final Fantasy 1, where it's an action game. It's a lot darker and grittier. The combat is fucking brutal, it's gory. It's essentially a remake of Final Fantasy 1. Pretty much. The bad guy is chaos, except it's not really chaos. That's the plot twist in that game. The bad guy of Stranger of Paradise is not necessarily an individual person, but more so an idea, which I think is a really interesting concept. That's the same as Nier Automata. Woo, okay, I'm back. Yeah, real life stuff happened, I had to leave, but I'm back to finish this. I don't want to make this too much longer, just wanted to finish my thoughts. I looked back and saw the last thing I was talking about was Nier Automata, because I liked the idea of that game having the villain be a concept rather than a person. I just think that's a cool idea for a villain because it's different. But back to the story of Final Fantasy IV, I really like it so far. It's really good. I actually did get to play a little bit more in between now and the last time I recorded for this. I just beat the Water Fiend, and I have the airship now. We're going up to Troya to acquire the Earth Crystal to give to Golbez in an attempt to get Rosa back, because Cain said that if you give us the crystal, we'll give you Rosa. Do I believe him? No, I don't trust people at all, but yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. Currently playing Final Fantasy IV, and I really like how much this game is going into the story. Outside of Final Fantasy 3, 4, and 14, the other Final Fantasy games that I've played are, I've played 7, I've played 9, I've played 15, so I've beaten 7, 9, and 15. I've played a lot of 12, but I've never beaten 12. I've played a little bit of 10, but I eventually gave up on 10 because I got to the part where you have a mandatory game of blitzball. You have to play blitzball at one point in the story, and I did not understand the rules and I couldn't figure it out, so I kind of just gave up. But I do plan to eventually go back to attempt Final Fantasy X again. But yeah, this is where I'm at right now. I kind of liked this recording yesterday of just finding a Reddit post to talk about it and just give my thoughts. It was quite relaxing, honestly. So if you like these videos, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter. All my links are in the description.